My male 31, brother 36, is a single widowed dad of two, my nephews, both under the age of 10. He used to have babysitters, but ever since he met his new girlfriend, he stopped hiring any help because his girlfriend claimed that she wanted the kids to warm up to and get used to her as the only woman in their lives. So he started asking me to watch the boys whenever he had something to do. I'd help if I could, but I work a demanding job and must cover full time. He, for whatever reason, refuses to acknowledge that. Days ago, he was going for lunch with his girlfriend to meet her friends and wanted me to have the boys. I told him I had to work, but he begged me to take the day off. I refused and went to work. At 11 a.m., a coworker of mine entered the office, and behind him were my nephews. I was astonished. He told me my brother had dropped them off so that they could stay with me. I was in a state of disbelief, but also furious. I felt stuck and terrified my boss would see this, and I'd get in trouble. I couldn't even take time off because of how busy I was. Finally, out of frustration, I called the police and explained what had happened. They got a hold of my brother and he was forced to come to take them off me and got into trouble with the authorities, who spent hours talking to him. My boss eventually found out, and I had to leave work early and go home. In the evening, my brother called and started screaming at me, calling me names of all sorts, and saying that I ruined his meeting with his girlfriend and her friends and caused him to get in trouble with the police. He called me a vile SOB and said I could have had the kids with me for a couple of hours or even taken them home and the rest of the day off. We haven't been speaking, but his girlfriend constantly shames me for what I've done, saying she treats the kids better than I do and that I should be ashamed. What? How could you possibly think you're the one at fault here? Who drops their kids off at someone's workplace and expects someone to drop everything and take care of them? Your brother is delusional. How dare you put my job at risk so you can have a lunch date? Is the response you give him over and over and over. You are not the idiot. Your brother's kids should be first in his life, not the new girlfriend. You need to talk to him about why his new girlfriend thinks his own kids shouldn't be around. Also, talk to him about where he thinks the relationship is heading, because the longer he stays, the more controlling she'll be. Yes, that part, where she says she'll be the only woman in their life, is concerning. No grandmas or aunts allowed? No memories of their late mother? What is she saying? Brother and his girlfriend need a reality check. Widowed or not, he needs to be a father. Not to be harsh, but just because his spouse died doesn't mean his responsibilities did too. You're not an on-call babysitter. My goodness. Girlfriend told bro that she wants to be the only woman in the kids' lives, but then she's okay with dumping them in OP's office with a stranger? I guess the logic isn't these folks' strong suit. Based on the complete lack of rational thinking from the brother and the girlfriend, better to be far away from that sinking ship. OP tried to help, and they showed they were willing to blow up his life for a lunch date. So not much else that OP can do but get away fast. Who cares what they say? They're wrong. I hope there are grandparents to keep an eye on the kids' well-being. My wife and I have 3 kids. Our last born almost did her in. She and our son were hospitalized for a week, and it was incredibly nerve-wracking and traumatic. Important info: my wife does not like dogs. Childhood trauma. More so she doesn't like dog moms and dads, but you get my point. My wife is in therapy, by the way. As you can imagine, we don't have dogs. Never plan to either. My family is huge on animals though, dogs especially. My parents, however, are very much respectful of my wife's concerns regarding dogs around our kids, and they never ever push the issue. My sister is the complete opposite. She has 2 German Shepherds, a Great Dane, and 2 ankle biters of some sort that are healer breed mixes. They go everywhere with her, including to her job. My wife avoids family gatherings that involve my sister, and I don't blame her. When we host at our place, the dogs are not invited, which means my sister hardly ever comes. This has caused fights in the past because my sister says we deny her children happiness and family time. She knows about my wife's severe trauma and thinks she should just get over it. Anywho, we hosted dinner at our place yesterday evening, and my sister decided to join us for once. At some point, it got on the topic of births. My wife generally doesn't talk about hers, but my mom started asking questions. She went through a difficult birth herself, so it was an innocent conversation. My sister continuously interjected stories about her dog and minimized my wife's struggles in a way that I'm sure affected her more than me. Basically saying, every mom goes through struggles, even dog moms, and it's not that serious. At one point, I told my sister to shut up, but she kept at it. My wife snaps, stands up from the table, slams her fist, and starts berating my sister, saying, "I don't give a flying crap about your mutts, nor do I care to hear about your imaginary struggles of being a mom when you don't have children and never almost died and lost your baby at the same time." This led to her screaming at my sister to get out of the house and told her she had better never show her face here again. I have never seen my wife like this. It was clearly bottled for a long time. Everyone was silent. I told my wife to calm down and stop engaging in the conversation. I wasn't condescending or being an idiot. I was calm and just trying to calm her down. But the second I said that, she looked at me and said, "Are you seriously not going to defend me right now?" She left the house and is at her mom's with the kids. My mom says I shouldn't have said anything. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. It would be best if you had backed your wife here and not told her to calm down. It was incredibly insensitive of your sister to compare her dogs to what your wife went through. In the history of forever, absolutely no one has calmed down when they were told to calm down. Agreed. And if somebody important in your life is rightfully upset and you want to de-escalate the situation, one of the worst things you can say is calm down. You may as well have said, "Stop being on fire," while throwing gasoline into a burning car. Your wife and child almost died, and your sister was trying to make the conversation about her and her mutts. She was being condescending to both the women sharing horror stories in what should have been a safe environment. Your wife snapped because she did have it bottled up. You should have said, "Sis, this conversation is not about you. You need to drop your part or please leave." You did not. Then you shamed your wife. You chose your sister by what you did, good intentions or not. You owe your wife a public apology, and a big one. So does your sister, though she also owes one to the other woman in the story too. Agreed. As a self-declared dog mom and someone who will never have children by choice, I totally agree with you. I call myself a mom and my dogs my kids, but I also understand the difference between real children. Sister sounds like a really obnoxious, self-centered person. After I had my first child, I had postpartum depression. I had a hard time getting motivated to do anything. I was just a ball of emotions and tears. My boyfriend was 25 at the time and he couldn't handle it, so he left. His mom, Linda, took me in. She took over caring for my son and helped me get therapy. She paid for the formula when I went on medication for my treatment, and I couldn't breastfeed. She literally held me while I cried, feeling useless as a mother and woman. She was more of a mother to me than I've ever known before. It took a while, but I balanced it out. I got back to watching my child. When I returned to work, my mom said she would watch my son so he didn't have to go to daycare and save me the money I earned. She knew her son wasn't paying child support. She told me to go after him for it, so I did. Getting it made my life easier, and I asked her if she wanted me to move out. She said nope. When my son started school 3 years ago, I began talking to my now husband. He worked out at the gym where I went to get rid of all the weight I had put on. He had seen me there for years and nodded and said hi, but never approached me. He told me that he was really impressed by my commitment to my health, and he asked me out. I almost said no. I had only ever been with one guy, and that was before the stretch marks and stuff. Linda told me to go for it. So, long story short, I'm now married to a pretty great guy. I'm working, and Linda lives in our guest suite and takes care of my son before and after school. She's met a gentleman and has spent a few evenings out of the house, LOL. Because of my relationship with her, I'm still part of her family. So several of them were invited to my wedding, and they all called my husband an upgrade from my ex. So last Sunday, my ex was bringing my son back from his time with him, and he asked if I ever thought about what our life would be if I hadn't gotten depressed. I snorted and said no. I never thought of him as anything other than a sperm donor. He said that his family had done a lot for me and that I should be grateful. I said that I was grateful to them. I said that all of them were still in my life and considered my husband an upgrade from him. He got all butthurt that I said that and left. He called his mom and complained about what I had said. She and I talked yesterday, and she said that even though it was true, it was hurtful and that I shouldn't have said it. She seemed sad, and I felt like crap for disappointing her. So I apologized to her, and I called my ex and apologized to him. Sincerely. He called me an idiot for turning his family against him. He called other family members, and they all said that he wasn't as good for me as my husband. And a few were less complimentary than that. So now I feel like crap for starting drama that I could have avoided by keeping my big mouth shut. But it was shocking to hear him ask about us when he left me without looking back. Not the idiot. Yes, you could have done better, but you apologized sincerely, and that's all one can do in retrospect. Hopefully Linda will forgive you. Your ex, however? Screw him and his, what if you didn't get a normal illness caused by carrying and delivering my child? Like, seriously? Screw that guy, LOL. You didn't turn his family against him. He did that to himself by being a massive idiot. Honestly, I wouldn't have even apologized to him. Maybe to his mom for disappointing her. All OP did was tell the truth, and he got all butthurt about it because he didn't get the ego boost he seemed to be looking for. She started no drama. She swatted him down by telling him a truth that he needed to hear, and then he called around to find out that it was true. He went fishing for compliments and platitudes and caught nothing but a boot. OP, I'm glad you found someone else that loves you for you. Yep, how about, what if you, ex, had supported me during my illness like your mother did, and still does, instead of piecing out? Man, just knowing that someone like Linda exists makes me hopeful for the whole human race. She sounds like an angel. Since I started working from home, my husband has treated it as if I'm not really working. He believes working from home isn't as much of a real job as leaving the house and driving to your workplace. He'd always interrupt me and send the kids in so I could help them get things done. He even went in randomly and asked me to do things under the guise of, just a minute, you won't get fired over a minute break. I've grown tired of the constant barging in, so I purchased a lock and locked the office to no longer give him access to interrupt me. He found out and uninstalled it while I was away. He said it was his house and that I could not lock him out of any room. I was floored once I saw that he had thrown the lock away. I went off at him, screaming my head off, telling him that he was jeopardizing my livelihood, and his body language and tone changed. He started ranting about how I was being cruel for accusing him of such things, and selfish for even entertaining the idea of keeping him and the kids out and ignoring them like that. He stormed off and left and had his mother lecture me about how I was unfairly prioritizing work over family and stuff like that. Then lastly, she talked about yelling at my husband and trying to intimidate and control him. He's been quiet since then. Am I the idiot for my reaction? He told his mommy on you? What is this whole thing about tattling to mommy and daddy as though your little brother stole your Halloween candy? Not the idiot. Your employment is at risk. So is your marriage. His actions disrespect you on many levels. Is this common behavior for him? Disregard your request? Throw away a tool you installed? Rant, claim he can do anything in his house, and enlist his mother to rant as well? He stated you won't get fired over a minute break. How does he know this? This erodes your expertise and opinion on the matter. I'm sorry you're going through this, but it may be the wake-up call you needed. If you both cannot put forth basic courtesy and effective communication, then you and the children will lose, big time. Well, another red flag is he's been quiet since then. That's what abusers do. They push you to the absolute limit, and when you pop, they throw a flying monkey or two at you and act all quiet until the situation blows over, knowing good and well that they're going to do it all over again another day. OP, he's being a colossal idiot and intentionally trying to sabotage your career for some reason. Jealousy, misogyny, insecurity, or just plain laziness maybe. Is there anywhere else you can work where your husband wouldn't be able to interfere? Either request to go back to the office or possibly hit up a park or a library and not telling him where you're going? I was in an abusive marriage for many years. What I failed to see at the time was the man sabotaged every job I ever had. When I really got tired of the abuse and wanted out, it turned to, "You've never held down a job long enough for any judge to give you custody." I'm 5 years out and have my kids, but I still have to explain those gaps in my resume when I want a new job. I'm not saying that's what your husband is doing. I'm saying to be smarter than I was and not let him sabotage your career. My husband, 37, suffers from a medical condition that has become more severe in the past 4 months. As a result, he's now following a diet and has a strict eating schedule as part of his health management. The kids and I eat regular food that I cook every day. The problem is that whenever we sit to eat, my husband will try to join us. I don't mean join us in eating, though. He tried it once but swore he wouldn't touch any of the food again, but it was hard to take his word for it. Now he's asking to be allowed to sit with the kids and me while we eat, just so he doesn't miss out on this bonding time together as a family. I refuse because he might try to get his hands on the food, and also, it would be awkward for him to sit by and watch us eat. He argued that he wants to feel included at the table and to be able to chat with the kids and bond with them. I told him he could do that anytime, anywhere, just not at the dining table. The kids and I should be able to eat quietly and peacefully without having to get busy talking. He got mad, saying that I don't get it, and that by not allowing him to join us, I'm trying to control what places he can be and how he bonds with the kids. I refused to discuss it, but he threw a hissy fit calling me unreasonable and claiming that I was isolating him because of his condition. Am I the idiot for putting my foot down on this? The kids are a tween and young teen. Added a few points. His eating time conflicts with the kids' eating time. He tends to violate his diet whenever he's around food that he shouldn't have or that isn't part of the diet. So I, of course, would have to deal with the results. What did I just read? The kids and I should be able to eat quietly and peacefully without having to get busy talking? Do you guys not care to share about your days? Talk about your hopes and dreams? What your favorite TV shows are? Who doesn't talk at the dinner table? Do you guys just sit in silence? Do you even like each other? How dare my husband want to spend time with our family at the dinner table, making us feel obligated to break our long and uncomfortable silences with, conversation? You are the idiot. A medical condition doesn't mean he gets banished from family activities. That's cruel. This means something else, OP. This is saying that you're fed up and tired of listening to your husband and being around him. Are you his caregiver? Are you experiencing burnout? Are you having an affair and now you hate your husband? Are you thinking of leaving him because life with him and his condition is too hard? You need therapy, OP. It sounds like you're being affected in ways you aren't aware of, and you're trying to push your husband out of your family.